Have you ever found yourself waking up in the middle of the night, not just once, but nearly every night? Maybe it's 2 a.m., maybe closer to 4. You open your eyes, roll over, and you're wide awake. The house is quiet, but your mind, it's busy, replaying yesterday, planning tomorrow, or circling around something small you meant to do. And no matter how you shift or settle, sleep just doesn't come back. If that sounds familiar, you're not alone. For many people over 60, broken sleep is surprisingly common, and it's not always about stress, coffee, or what you did that day. As we age, sleep naturally becomes lighter, more fragile, and yes, more interrupted. But that doesn't mean restful nights are out of reach. The key isn't to chase perfect sleep, but to understand how sleep works in our later years, and how to support it gently and wisely. Often, small things in our daily routine, timing, habits, even the light around us, can quietly disrupt our rhythm. So in this video, we're going to explore some of the most common, often overlooked reasons sleep gets interrupted with age. No judgment, no pressure, just thoughtful guidance to help you feel more rested, more balanced, and more in control of your nights again. Let's take a closer look at what's really going on and how to gently guide your sleep back into sync. First up, let's look at a reason many people overlook: not getting enough natural sunlight during the day. Your body has what we call a circadian rhythm. Think of it like an internal clock that runs in the background, telling you when to wake up, when to eat, and of course, when it's time to sleep. But that clock doesn't run on batteries. It depends on signals from the outside world, especially light. Now here's where it gets tricky for many people in their 60s, 70s, and beyond. Once you retire or slow down a bit, your days become more relaxed. You wake up when you feel like it, maybe skip the morning walk, have breakfast at different times each day, and stay mostly indoors. Nothing wrong with that, but your body starts to lose those strong, steady time cues that used to keep it anchored. Here's what's really going on when you're not getting enough daylight, and why it matters for sleep. Your body relies on natural sunlight to help reset and start its internal clock each day. Without that burst of morning light, especially bright light in the first few hours after waking, your system doesn't get the message that it's daytime. And when that happens, your sleep hormone, melatonin, gets confused. Melatonin is supposed to turn off in the morning and slowly start building up again as the day goes on, so it can be ready by bedtime. But without the right light exposure, it might not shut off properly, or it may start releasing too early or too late. That's why some folks fall asleep just fine, but wake up at 3 or 4 in the morning, wide awake, because their body thinks, hey, maybe it's time to get up. It's not your fault. It's not even about what you're doing in the evening. It's just that your internal clock didn't get the clear signal it needed earlier in the day. You see, it's not just about being indoors. It's about how our habits shift quietly as we age. Without realizing it, many older adults start spending their brightest hours of the day under dim lights, or worse, behind closed curtains. Maybe it's because mornings feel slower now. You're not rushing to a job, there's no school run. So you stay in your robe a bit longer, read the paper at the kitchen table, maybe catch the morning news. But during those quiet indoor hours, your brain is waiting for a strong cue, and it doesn't come. And here's the twist. As we get older, our brain becomes less sensitive to weak light. That's right. Even if the room feels bright, it might not be bright enough to reset your internal clock. So the brain stays in a kind of limbo, not fully awake, not fully asleep, which messes with your energy all day and your sleep all night. One thing many folks don't realize is how much light helps regulate not just sleep, but your body temperature, hunger signals, and even mood. Light acts like a director in a play, cueing different systems to come on stage at the right time. But if that cue comes too late in the day, everything runs behind schedule. You're not hungry for lunch until late. Your energy dips in the afternoon, and your brain doesn't wind down until well past bedtime. Then when you do finally fall asleep, guess what? You wake up too early, not refreshed, just out of sync. And the cycle repeats, all because that morning light was missing. So what can you do? First, try to get some daylight, real daylight. within 1 or 2 hours of waking up. If going outside isn't easy for you, that's okay. Just sitting near a bright window or using a light therapy box for 15 minutes can help. Second, bring back some gentle structure to your day. Not a rigid schedule, but a steady flow. Aim to eat your meals around the same time, even if they're small. Plan a short walk or chore after breakfast. Talk to someone, a friend, a neighbor, during the day. These are all powerful time cues for your internal clock. And if you're someone who naps, which is perfectly fine, just be mindful not to nap too long or too late in the afternoon. A short nap after lunch is refreshing, but too much daytime rest can confuse your nighttime sleep drive. Now maybe you're thinking, is this really going to help? And I'll be honest, it's not a magic switch. But over the course of a week or two, giving your body these cues gently nudges your sleep back into balance. Your melatonin gets released at the right time. Your mind quiets down more easily. And those wide-awake hours at 3 a.m., they become less and less frequent. Remember, better sleep often starts long before bedtime. It starts with morning light, with steady meals, with a few simple motions through the day. It starts with rhythm. And the beauty of it is, it's all within reach. Let's ease into the second reason, and it has to do with something we can't always see: mental activity that ramps up right before bed. For many seniors, the quiet of the evening isn't always peaceful. With fewer distractions, the mind suddenly lights up, replaying old conversations, unfinished tasks, or small worries. And just as the body's ready to rest, the brain starts running its own late-night meeting. Now here's the interesting part. What's actually keeping you from sleeping isn't just the thoughts themselves, it's what those thoughts do to your brain. When your mind is busy, especially close to bedtime, it keeps the front part of your brain, called the prefrontal cortex, highly active. That's the area in charge of problem solving, planning, and analyzing. Basically, all the thinking stuff. And when that part of your brain is buzzing, it blocks your ability to shift into slower brainwave states. And those slower states, like alpha and theta waves, are what ease you into sleep. So even though your body might feel tired, your brain is still stuck in day mode. It's like trying to fall asleep while a radio is playing in the background. Not loud, but just enough to keep you from drifting off. And while people often think that life gets simpler after retirement, that's not quite the case, is it? The stress doesn't disappear. It just changes shape. Instead of work deadlines, it becomes about health appointments, relationships with adult children, bills on a fixed income, or maybe just wondering if you're doing enough to stay sharp. And since days tend to be quieter and less structured, there's not always a place to get those thoughts out. So where do they go? Right into the space between your head and the pillow. So what can we do about it? The answer isn't to stop thinking. That's impossible, and honestly, not necessary. The goal is to shift when and how your brain processes things. Think of it like this. Your brain is like a kitchen stove. During the day, it's cooking all kinds of thoughts, plans, and conversations. But if you don't turn the burners off before bed, that leftover mental heat keeps simmering long into the night, and older brains are especially prone to this. Not because they're weaker, but because they're more emotionally tuned in. Studies show that emotional processing actually becomes more active in later life. That means unresolved thoughts or small emotional hiccups, even good ones, can echo longer in the mind if there's no outlet for them earlier in the day. There's also the silent culprit we don't always notice: overstimulation from screens. Watching dramatic news or a suspenseful show right before bed doesn't just entertain you, it wires your brain into alert mode. And here's the catch. Your brain can't always tell fiction from reality. That plot twist in your crime show, your brain reacts to it like real stress. This delays the natural rise of melatonin, your sleep hormone, and leaves your body in a kind of low-key fight-or-flight state. It's like hitting the brakes with one foot while pressing the gas with the other. No wonder sleep doesn't come easily. Now let's say your brain still sneaks in a thought or two when your head hits the pillow. That's normal. You don't have to fight it. Just notice it, say, "Not now," and gently redirect. Some people find comfort in repeating a calming phrase: "My day is done. I can rest now." Others imagine a peaceful place, walking along the beach, sitting in a quiet garden. anything that lets the mind settle into something gentle and safe. Over time, your brain will get the message. Night is for rest, not for running through checklists. Here's the bottom line. Your brain wants to help you. It's trying to solve, fix, remember, all good things. But it just needs a little help knowing when to do that. By building in calm, earlier outlets and giving your mind a reliable wind-down signal, you're not shutting it off. You're guiding it toward peace. And that peace, that's what opens the door to deeper, more restful sleep. Now here's the third. An often overlooked reason is evening medications that, instead of calming the body, may quietly keep it alert. You might be doing everything right, taking your pills, setting reminders, following your doctor's orders. But some medications, even common ones, can have mild stimulating effects if taken close to bedtime. Let me tell you about Mr. Clay. He's 74, lives in Ohio, and does everything by the book. He takes his blood pressure meds every evening, pops a multivitamin with dinner, and occasionally uses a nasal spray before bed when his allergies act up. On paper, it's all fine, but every night around 2:30 a.m., he finds himself wide awake, heart a little racy, mind a little wired. And no matter how many sheep he counts, sleep just doesn't return. And here's the thing. Mr. Clay isn't doing anything wrong. He's just unaware that some of the medications and supplements he takes, even mild ones, can act like little sparks to his nervous system, especially when taken close to bedtime. Let's talk about why that happens. See, many common evening medications have hidden stimulant effects. Blood pressure pills like beta blockers or ACE inhibitors can actually interfere with melatonin production. That's the hormone that helps your body relax and fall asleep. Certain nasal decongestants, even over-the-counter ones, can subtly raise your heart rate or blood pressure, making the body feel more alert than it should at night. And believe it or not, even some B-complex vitamins, especially B12 or B6, which are often taken for energy, can activate the nervous system if they're taken too late in the day. And here's why this matters more as we age. Polypharmacy, that's just a fancy word for taking multiple medications, is common in older adults, which means it's easy for certain drugs to interact, or for the timing to get a little off. You might have been told what to take, but not always when to take it for the best sleep. And unfortunately, once sleep gets disrupted, it becomes a cycle. You lie awake for an hour, fall back asleep close to dawn, and then wake up groggy, so now you're extra tired the next evening, and the problem repeats. But here's the good news. You don't have to overhaul everything. Sometimes it's as simple as shifting your pill schedule a little earlier in the day. Let's take those B vitamins, for example. If you're taking them for energy or general health, great. But move them to breakfast or lunch instead of dinner. That way, you still get the benefit without the stimulation when your body's trying to wind down. Same with blood pressure meds. Now, this one's trickier because some medications truly do work better at night, depending on your condition. But the only way to know for sure is to have a conversation with your doctor or pharmacist. You'd be surprised how many times a simple schedule change can ease nighttime wake-ups. And about that nasal spray or allergy med, try switching to a non-stimulating alternative or using it earlier in the evening, say around dinner time instead of right before bed. Some natural options, like saline sprays or a warm shower before bed to clear congestion, can also help without the added stimulation. I often recommend keeping a little sleep tracker journal. Nothing fancy, just a notebook where you jot down your bedtime, your medications, and whether you slept well or woke up in the night. After just a week, you might spot a pattern. Every night I take my vitamin B after dinner, I'm up at 2 a.m. That kind of insight is gold, and it gives your doctor real clues on how to help you. Things like green tea extract, ginseng, or even magnesium, depending on the form, can have mild energizing effects in some people. The same goes for pain relievers that include caffeine. They're sneaky. The key takeaway here is simple. Medications are powerful, but timing matters more than we often realize. And as we age, our bodies become more sensitive to even the smallest shifts. That's why it's so important to talk to your doctor or pharmacist. Not just about which medications you're taking, but when you're taking them. Some pills that seem harmless during the day might quietly interfere with your sleep if taken too close to bedtime. If you're waking up in the middle of the night, not worried, not in pain, just strangely alert, your body might be responding to something in your system. A quick conversation with your doctor can help spot what's causing the issue and when it's best to take it. The good news? You likely don't need to stop your medications. Just adjust the timing to better support your sleep. Because better sleep isn't always about doing more. Sometimes it's about making one small, smart change. So as we wrap up, let's take a moment to pull it all together. If you've been waking up in the middle of the night, wide awake at 2 or 3 a.m., unsure why, you're not alone, and you're not doing anything wrong. Sleep in our later years isn't always as smooth as it once was, but there are reasons behind it, and, thankfully, ways to gently improve it. We talked about how a lack of natural daylight in daily structure can confuse your body's internal clock. We looked at how a busy, overstimulated mind in the evening can keep you in thinking mode when you're trying to rest. And we explored how even helpful medications, if taken at the wrong time, can quietly wake up your system just when it should be winding down. The good news is, none of these changes require big, overwhelming routines. Just small, thoughtful shifts, a little more light in the morning, a little more calm in the evening, and some smart conversations with your doctor about your meds. Little things that, over time, help guide your nights back to a steadier, more peaceful rhythm. If this video helped you feel a little more informed and a little more hopeful, we'd love for you to like, subscribe, and share it with someone you care about. Because better sleep doesn't just help you feel rested, it helps you feel like yourself again. Thanks for watching, and here's to gentler nights ahead.